All right, looking at Unit 12, Worksheet 2, let's look at number 6. I was going to move some things around. I'll subtract the 4 cosine x from both sides. Subtract 11 from both sides. So I get cosine of x equals 1. I think a picture is helpful. So cosine is 1 when the x-coordinate is 1, so that'd be over here at 0. Plus 2 pi k. Now, usually we get the other answer by doing plus or minus, but plus or minus 0 doesn't really change anything, so we just leave it at 0 and we're fine. I guess it wouldn't be wrong to put plus or minus 0, it would just look kind of funny. And I guess if you were really thinking and you thought, well, adding 0 doesn't do anything, why don't I just write it as 2 pi k? You could do that as well. Let's look at number 14, because your calculator doesn't have a cotangent button on it. Let's change it to tangent. But what's the price we pay for changing it to tangent? Or how are tangent and cotangent related to each other? They're flips, they're reciprocals. So be careful, don't say they're inverses. In some sense, that's correct when inverse means flip. But inverse tangent means go the opposite of tangent. So be careful using the word inverses when we're talking about trig functions. It might be right, but if we're talking about flipping, say reciprocal, or just say flip. Don't say inverse. Except when you need to say inverse, like taking the inverse tangent of 1 over 2.3, and we can just let the calculator handle that. So I don't even need to know what 1 over 2.3 is. Hey, there's some calculus you can look forward to for next year. Does that look fun? No. Is that right there? No? No. That was the worst problem we worked all year. So if that looks terrible, it should look terrible. It was terrible.
But how much work did you do before you put it into the calculator?
So inverse tangent, second tangent, 1 divided by 2.3. Oh, make sure I'm in radians. I mean, I should be. I haven't done anything else, but it's the first one of the day, so make sure it's in radians to get started. 0.410. That's not wrong, but that's only one answer. How do I get all of the other answers?
K pi?
Plus k pi. And that gets them all for tangent. So I don't have to think about the other one, or I guess I should say adding k pi gets all of the other ones. What's the shortcut for cosine? After you get an answer from the calculator, how do you find the other one? It's just plus or minus, so that's sort of the second easiest. The hardest, I don't know if it's hard or not, but the hardest would be sine. How do we do sine? How do we find the other angle for sine? Well, let's do number 20. Let's see. I'm going to move 7 sine x that way and 1 that way. So 1 equals 3 sine 2x. That means sine of 2x equals 1/3. I'm glad I'm doing this one. We've got a lot of stuff going on here. Sine of 2x equals 1/3. Okay, so now I'm ready to go to the calculator because I need to find an angle whose sine is 1/3. So inverse sine of 1/3. I'll need to divide by 2, but I can't divide by 2 now because 2x is within the sine. So I need to inverse sine, and then I'll divide by 2. So inverse sine of 1/3. 0.3398, so that's 0.340. Plus 2 pi k. Actually, I don't want to divide by 2x yet because I need to think about where that other angle is. So the sine is 1/3. The sine is positive in the first and second. So the calculator gives me the first quadrant answer. How do I get the second quadrant answer? Pi minus. So the trick for sine, it's not really a trick, it's just the rule for sine, is pi minus the first answer. Pi minus answer, 2.802 plus 2 pi k. Except I'm not quite done yet, because that's what 2x equals. So last step, I'll divide everybody by 2. I'm almost out of room. That would be 0.170 plus pi k. And 1.401 plus pi k. If the numbers are easy enough, I can divide by 2 without a calculator. Aren't you proud of me? So we hit all the rules. Inverse tangent is just plus k pi, that gets everything, no big deal. Inverse cosine, plus or minus, so that's pretty easy, plus 2 pi k. And then sine is the hardest one, not that it's hard, trickiest one. Pi minus whatever your first answer is to get the second answer.